Hey there, I'm Nicholas Dubois, co-founder of Advanced SimRacing. We are a Canadian company. So what we did here today is for a real petrol head. He's really passionate about cars, as you can see behind me. We did a turnkey solution for him based on his needs. We try to gather as much information as we can on our client. And like we did today, we install a D-box system. We install ultra-wide cube control steering wheel. We try to provide the best quality for your budget. So let's say if you want a budget of 10 grand, we're gonna give you something that's the best for 10 grand. If you want 20 grand, then we always try to stay within your boundaries. We do try to make it as easy as possible. So the client, once we install everything, it's pretty much gonna be a turnkey. So he's gonna press start on his computer, and right after, we'll try to explain everything, how it goes, how it works, and then he's ready to go. Our aluminum is from USA, treated in Canada, cut in Canada. So we do sand all our aluminum piece just to make sure the powder coat sticks to it. And that's one of the reasons why we use powder coat, is to make sure you have the best aluminum finish in the industry. And our quality is beyond what you can get with any other competitors right now. We are really, really passionate about all the gear, all the cockpits, all the sim hardware, and that's why we want to create something that's really going to reflect our passion into our product. Come visit us at advancedsimracing.com. You can always reach us if you have any questions. You can call us, you can text us, you can go on Facebook, like our page, ask us questions over there, and we'll make sure to answer every questions there is. We are very passionate about what we do, and we try to make it as easier for you to go into the sim racing world, because there's a lot of gear, there's a lot of options, but let us guide you through your process, and let's hope you'll be an Advanced Sim Racing customer.
A fascinating AM championship has led us to a tie between two veterans of the series, Broomhead and Kita. Each have had plights washed away by drop weeks, but that means both are operating without a backup for the remainder of the season. Will Kita's tiny edge of 9 drop points come in handy? We'll find out soon as we get ready to watch Round 6 of the PRL Open Wheel Series, and you'll see it all live here on the Global Sim Racing channel. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is DJ Clark. Behind the scenes is our director, Robert O'Brien, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Laguna Seca will be a test of bravery and skill for the drivers. To help explain why, let's head to our track guide. Welcome to Laguna Seca. Located just east of Monterey, California, it's hard to deny that this is one of the more scenic American road courses. It travels up and down a hillside which not only offers spectacular views, but one of racing's most iconic corners. Clocking in at 2.25 miles in length, 11 turns split up the current configuration. I say current because up until 1988, the track's layout was shockingly simple with a mere 9 dangerously fast corners. But despite becoming a much more technical track, this difficult nature was retained in its modern form. Turn 6 in particular places an emphasis on precision and daring with its tricky dip at the apex and narrow racing line. But the most well-known spot on the track is of course the corkscrew. Blind and kinked on entry, it then whips the driver through a chicane which drops you nearly 60 feet. It's earned a reputation worldwide for forcing even the most daring competitors to second-guess themselves. But there's honestly a refreshingly wide variety in types of corners, making it a perfect track for driver coaching and training. Elevation changes, differing cambers, and every sort of apex imaginable leaves seasoned veterans and newcomers alike spending hours trying to perfect a lap. With the track becoming popular for hosting IMSA, IndyCar, and MotoGP in its recent history, it also brings out lots of vintage racers due to the Monterey historics each year. Likely to remain a fixture on the American racing scene, this legendary circuit is almost always high on drivers' best of lists. Its history and its uniqueness are sure to delight all for years to come. a lot of names that get thrown around as the track of American road racing, but to me, DJ, this place takes that crown.
You know, Joe, I really have to agree with you. There are few more corners that are more iconic than the corkscrew here at Laguna Seca. I have been lucky enough to have visited this track a couple of times, and let me tell you that seeing it in person is leaps and bounds over what you see on the television. It is one of the most terrifying drops you can imagine. And the fact that these cars are able to take it with such high speeds never fails to amaze me. But as we watch for these Formula 3s to make their way out onto the track, this is going to be a race where I think passing really is going to be at a premium, so we're going to have to pay a lot of attention to qualifying. Track position will be key. Really, the only three areas that I can see some semi-easy passes getting done. Going down into the Andretti hairpin, that's turn 2. Maybe somebody can pull a little bit of an Alex Zanardi and make a move down into the corkscrew, and then down into turn 11 at the end of that flowing final sector. But more than that, the best way to get an overtake done is just applying pressure as you climb up the hill through turns 4, 5, and 6. They are deceptively quick corners, and if you don't get that apex just right, you will very easily find yourself off and into the gravel. And if you are behind another car, you want to try to push them to overdrive through those corners and force that mistake.
We'll see if anybody winds up making those kinds of errors today. But before we do, we want to mention that our broadcast is brought to you by ASR. Owned and operated by passionate sim racers, Advanced Sim Racing designs and builds the sturdiest and most durable aluminum profile racing simulation cockpits available in the market today. Visit them at advancedsimracing.com.
Today's event is also brought to you by RaceLab. RaceLab helps you to improve your driving skills. With modern overlays, race statistics, and native VR integration, you can get the best out of iRacing. Start using it for free now at racelab.app.
Today's broadcast is also proudly sponsored by ButtKicker. ButtKicker products add an incredible immersion and realism to any game. Feel every nuance and truly put yourself in the driver's seat. Check them out at thebuttkicker.com.
Today's event is also brought to you by SimMSA. Simulation Motorsports Affinity provides many consulting services, from completely customizing simulators to managing teams, individual drivers, and complete events. They're working hard to bring everyone together at one place to support and promote sim racing internationally. Find out how you can bridge the gap between virtual and real motorsports at SimMSA.net.
And finally, the PRL Open Wheel Series is brought to you by NinjaTrader. Ready to compete against the financial markets? Supporting over 60,000 users across the globe, NinjaTrader provides award-winning trading software and brokerage services. NinjaTrader is always free to use for advanced charting, backtesting, and trade simulation. Visit ninjatrader.com to get started with a risk-free trading simulator and start tracking your performance. So, as we look at the points, starting off with the pros, before we get to that AM champ I mentioned earlier, Alex Fournier is up at the top. Rod Clenard down into second, as he did not start last time, and I do not see him here today either. So, unfortunately, it looks like he is going to slip further down. Byron Daly doing a good job getting back into things, but he's only 3 points away from Raymond Day currently. And then you get back down to fifth, where David Holland, another driver that's been missing the past 2 rounds, has fallen to fifth now. Like I said earlier, DJ, that AM championship is looking very tasty.
It is indeed. Michael Broomhead and Takeshi Kita tied with 115 points, with Christopher Richards only 5 points back looking in, and Robert Ridgway certainly within striking distance in fourth, only 10 points back of our leaders. Brett Barrett's got a little bit more room to make up, but he is certainly close. And Joe, really going on down through the field from there, even in sixth, Tyler Scaralli's only 5 points behind Barrett, and Matthew Gunderson's only 2 points behind Scaralli. So this AM championship is really and truly up for grabs every which way you cut it.
Absolutely. Now, with Broomhead also being a part of Britannia iSports, they have been certainly working their way forward. And apologies, this is not an updated slide on this one, but they are only 3 points ahead of NinjaTrader Esports Pro, and Atomic Racing about 18 points back, have started to slip since their initial great start. They're 2 points ahead of Delta Sport, who, with their lack of attendance, seem to have fallen off the bandwagon. And then Viking Hot Rods Racing currently sits in 5th on the point sheet, about 59 points back from Britannia. What about today's race details?
Well, Joe, as always, we are out here for a 31-lap event with a standing start in these Formula 3 cars. We are past the halfway points, past the halfway point of the series, so those points are certainly going to start to matter. And we do run open setups around here. Although I anticipate a relatively similar setup for everybody, you really kind of want to maximize downforce around this twisty Laguna Seca circuit. Now, drive-through penalties will accrue at 13 incidents, and you'll get DQ'd at 17, and that's pretty important because it's fairly easy to run a tire or two off into the sand around here and pick up a 1X or a 2X. Now, that to be said, there are bonus points also available for pole, fastest lap, and if you're able to escape 3 incidents or less.
Right now, the bonus for pole is going to be handed out in just about 6 minutes. And Alex Fournier currently has that pole position provisionally for the pro class. It's Robert Ridgway who is the quickest right now in the AM category, and he's actually all the way up in 4th. But Michael Broomhead has been keeping between 4th and 5th overall.
Yeah, very, very tight there up at the top, and they're going to have to keep an eye for that because of the battle developing in that AM category. Everybody's going to have to be very, very careful. Watch here as a couple of these drivers work their way around. I mean, look at that, Joe. From 1st all the way down to 14th with Joey Tabbin separated by less than a second. Yes, this is a pretty short circuit when it comes to some of the things we see here in the Formula 3 series, but still, that is a very, very close run at the top.
Yeah, just a little bit of improvement could get you not just one position, but multiple positions. This is Johnston here on your screen, currently 3rd on the timing sheets overall racing in our Pro Championship. And unfortunately, he's going to lose it through turn 10, and that's going to be his qualifying at least hindered for a moment. Looks like Jonathan Almanar had a similar issue just behind him. And so we go to Corkscrew himself.
Yes, there he is coming on down very good through the corkscrew, making everything work quite wonderfully as he comes down trying to improve on that 114.8.
So he's got to get about a 10th and a half here to overtake Fournier. And as he comes around the final corner, that yellow and black machine, is this going to be a decent one? No, it's not. He is slow this time by, so he's got to cycle back around to try again. Robert Ridgway, I see, looks like he might be out on a flyer currently, is the 17, trying to get himself a little farther ahead of Broomhead. Here he is on screen now.
And that's Robert Ridgway working his way around. Looks like he may have kicked up a little bit of grass there or dirt coming into turn 11. Going to get it onto the main straight. He's going to have the benefit of a little bit of a draft there in front of him. That could help him, but not enough to get up and going. Move higher than that 4th place position. But remember, it's still a good time for Ridgway. That is the highest AM driver out there. So he will be pleased with that time, even if that is it.
Watching Broomhead, and he unfortunately spun out of the final corner, so that means even this lap is going to start a little bit slow. So he'll have to try and come back around, maybe get 2 more laps to try and improve here. 4th in the pro class, but 6th overall is Byron Daly, as we continue to watch from over the shoulder of Ridgway, and he's actually getting a bit of a tow. This is Roberto Cofre. Whoa, and there was a moment coming out of turn 6 illustrating almost exactly what you were talking about earlier, DJ.
Yeah, and I think that may have just been a little bit of incident fixation, frankly. Cofre getting off there into the dirt, and Ridgway just kind of going along with that in sympathy. Now, that'll cost him about a half a tenth to a tenth of a second. His tires just not gripping up, getting the jump off of the corner that he really hoped for. We'll have to see if he's able to gather anything up back under him. Good line there out of turn 11. He's now going to climb up the hill. Not able to go any faster.
About half a second slower, unfortunately. Fournier is weaving his way through some of the traffic there. That was Nicholas Johnston trying to stay out of his way. And then Daniel Barnett is up in front of him. Everybody's actually put a time in so far. So that is good news that everybody's at least got something sort of representative. And even quicker for Fournier, a 14.7 is about 200ths faster. So Coffre has an even higher marker to try and match, and unfortunately it's definitely not going to be on this lap because that is a cut course penalty.
Yes, it is. So that's going to come back to bite him a little bit on that. But Ridgway continues to work his way around, just seeing if he's got anything as he climbs over the hill. Let's keep the cameras here as he works his way down through the corkscrew. Good lines through there. The track just breaking away from you. Even when you're in the sim, Joe, you just kind of feel your gut fall as you crest over that hill. It's such a steep drop, about 12 stories down.
Out of the final corner, can he get maybe 1200ths quicker? And looks like a bad exit or something as he weaves off to the left side of the track, and that definitely was not faster. About a 10th slow for him, unfortunately. Broomhead's coming around behind Tim, trying to take that AM pole away. There he is through the final corner. The start of this lap was a little bit hindered by his spin last time through, and it was definitely slow, about a second and a half slower actually, and he gets to go around one more time.
Ooh, and he's going to have a little bit of a problem there. That is Steven Ritter's up ahead of him, currently qualified in 15th. Ritter's locked up coming through the Andretti hairpin, and I got to think that that's going to throw a little bit of a worry here to Broomhead. He's clearly got more speed than the Canadian number 27 driver, and so he does not want to be held up. Ooh, and that's not going to help him as well, as that was Broomhead picking up a little bit of dirt.
Michael Coffre's coming to the line right now, here in the number 14 second, and he is slow once again, not able to go faster. One last opportunity to try and get that pole away. Julio Palacio is the next one. We see Ridgway coming to the line. Palacio doesn't go quicker. Ridgway is going to put down a 15.092, just shy.
And I can report that when we were watching Michael Broomhead there, that little slip off into the dirt, he decided to call it a day. So Broomhead will do no better than 5th right here. But we follow a pro driver, Julio Palacio, as he now makes his way around turn 6, getting ready to go up the hill. Turn 4. Going up, this is Takeshi Kita, though, coming out of the last corner. Remember, he's one of the ones in that AM championship hunt, currently tied for the lead. Can he beat a 15.7? Oh, by 300ths of a second, he can, but I don't think that's going to move him up the order.
Nope, he stays in 15th. Byron Daly has finished. He pulled off without improving. Up next, it looks like we've got Raymond Day on the screen, but I think Palacio will be, well, and Robert Ridgway is definitely done as he has a big wreck there in the corkscrew.
And Raymond Day did the same thing, having a spin coming down out of the corkscrew. So the last driver to qualify here will be Julio Palacio, trying to improve on that 8th place position. He does by 0.3 of a second. Does that move him up? It does, 2 places into 6th.
And that will be it for our qualifiers. Our grid is set today, and it's a pretty decent-sized field. Alex Fournier is going to start on the pole. It'll be Michael Coffre who starts in P2. Then it's Nicholas Johnston in 3rd. Robert Ridgway, the first of the AMs, starting on the outside of the 2nd row. Michael Broomhead will be next up in 5th overall, and Julio Palacio starts 6th. And it is Byron Daly in 7th, and Juan Coffre in 8th. Tyler Scarali starts 9th, and the outside of the 5th row goes to Nick Horvath.
Starting off in 11th is going to be the AM driver of Christopher Richards, followed by Raymond Day to his outside, with Sean Duhamel and Joey Tebben making up row 7. Row 8 is one of your AM leaders, Takeshi Kita, with Steven Ritters to his outside, and in 17th it'll be Brett Barrett, followed by Jonathan Almanar. Dave Peterson will line up in 19th, and Owen McLaughlin rounds out your top 20.
21st goes to Matthew Gunderson with Cadence Presley in 22nd, and you've got Donald Olson in 23rd. James Carter will be 24th. Inside of the next row is Johnny Luna. It's Armando Coelho in 26th as Tyler Gore starts 27th, and James Holland in 28th. And it's Roberto Cofre in 29th, with the 30th position being held by David A. Bear. Looks like Daniel Barnett last qualifying 31st. Vargas must have signed up pretty late, and he is in the grid already, so 32 cars that will take the start here. And hopefully we get a safe start, because we're hearing some of the drivers tell us that it's a little bit sketchy here on the cold tires. And as we take a look at the weather, it's actually 74 degrees Fahrenheit. So yeah, it's not exactly going to be the hottest we've seen on the track.
No, it's not. We're hearing some reports that it may take up to 4 laps for these tires to heat up. Relatively low humidity here. That means there's not going to be as much air for these drivers to cut through. They're going to have to watch out for that 10-degree wind coming out of the northwest. That can throw off these cars. We've seen how aero-sensitive they are. So watch out for some sudden snap oversteer as a result of those gusting winds.
Just a couple more drivers we're waiting to grid up. They have about half a minute, and there it is in metric, in case you were wondering, with about 16 kilometers an hour wind. And once we get everybody out there, then it is 31 laps, and it looks like the lights are up, and the green flag is out. Fournier good off the line, but Michael Cofre struggles a little bit. So Nicholas Johnston starts to threaten that second place as he gets to the inside, down towards the first corner, but doesn't break deep enough. 2 by 2 behind them. So far, so good. Watching out for some of those 3 wide moments as the rest of the field tries to keep it safe, and I think we're through Andretti.
We are indeed, and in that AM battle between Ridgeway and Broomhead, Broomhead had a little bit of a sketchy exit, caught some curbing coming out of the Andretti hairpin, and that allowed for Robert Ridgeway to sneak on by and up into 4th position.
Out of turn 5 already, up the hill to the high part of the circuit, and it's looking good for Fournier. He's nearly a second ahead, and we're not even halfway through the lap. Nicholas Johnston still in front of Cofre. He retains that second position, braking hard into the corkscrew. He doesn't attack yet.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to see a lot of aggressive moves into the corkscrew until these tires are fully warmed up. Remember, we said about 4 laps or so for them to get fully into that operating temperature range. And so everybody trying to take it a little bit easy here as we follow that battle. Whoa, here comes Byron Daly down to the inside in that last corner, making the move on Broomhead, making it look easy, and he is on by.
And unfortunately, I can report we had a big wreck in the corkscrew starting with the 19 car. We'll try and look at that a little bit later, but man, a lot of dicing here up towards the front of the field. They're spreading out down into the Andretti hairpin, but it looks like Scaralli's going to be able to retain that place as Raymond Day having to fight with Horvath. And the 28, what happened to the 28 of Cofre?
It looks like Cofre and I believe Nicholas Johnson came together. They are still stuck out on track right now. This is coming out of the Andretti hairpin. It looks like, oh, that was netcode to end all netcode.
And it looks like a car that you see diving off. Actually, implications for the AM Championship. Ridgeway had to go the long way around to keep from wrecking, and Broomhead is now up to 3rd overall, trying to get it going. Michael, well, the Chile Verde, unfortunately, is going to have to get a little bit chilly down in the pits as everything cooled down. Byron Daly up to 2nd. And something happened to Cadence Presley in the corkscrew with a bunch of cars off. We'll try and investigate that.
Yeah, a lot of drivers just having problems here early on, trying to figure it out. And there they get their way around. That is Broomhead trying to close in on Daly right now as Fournier starting to streak away from the front of this field.
Man, 4.5 seconds there. And now Palacio is off. Julio Palacio, and Andretti finds himself facing the wrong way, and he had contact as well. It was Robert Ridgeway.
That's Ridgway down to the inside. Oh, Ridgway just caught that inside curbing, clobbered into the side of Palacio there, and that was what sent him out into the kitty litter.
Ooh, he's down to 13th now. Robert is giving up a good chance at potentially trying to help himself in this AM Championship. And it has been topsy-turvy as we got another car off track up through turn 6. Looks like Ritter's there having a big, scary moment, and now he's around. And someone else with him. That is Dave Peterson.
Oh, this is a kerfluffle through the corkscrew, Joe. Everybody absolutely just flying off the track here. Nobody able to keep it together.
Amazingly, Ridgway nearly got involved again, but this time he was an innocent victim. Just had to slow up as the car spun in front of him. Johnny Luna, there, the other one you see trying to get the car going after a little problem trying to avoid all the action there at the corkscrew. Luna falls down to 16th from that one. Ridgway in pit lane and way too early for a scheduled stop. He is probably going to have to visit the pit lane again after this one as we ride on board with the 116. Now 5.5 seconds ahead of Byron Daly. This is looking like it might be a rout for the 116 car.
Yeah, it very well could be. And if you are out by yourself here at Laguna Seca, it is a treat to drive. Just run in some high laps, some hot laps, and just keep going along with that. It's when you get into these battles that it gets a little bit fierce, as we watch now Juan Cofre trying to close in on the back of Michael Broomhead.
Down into the hairpin. This is for podium position. Both between AM drivers as well. And I'm trying to actually see where Juan Cofre is listed on our point sheet, because I don't think he's all that high up. This is looking like a very good day for the 91 if he can hold it together for the rest of one, because it seems a number of drivers have not been able to do that so far. So this is quite a tricky track today.
It certainly is, and Roberto Cofre having a little bit off coming out of that final corner. Looks like he just tried to carry a little bit too much speed through turn 11 and goosed it. I can also report that Joey Tebben had a spin coming down out of the corkscrew. Looked like he just caught a little bit too much curb on the bottom part of it, and that sent him spinning around.
And Tebben's in pit lane, so he must have taken some damage from that one. We come back to do Hamill now, who's going to go by Scarali, who's now gone off. So more drivers are just dropping like flies here today. It seems attrition gonna be a major factor in the race.
Yeah, big time, Joe. If it looks like if you can keep all 4 tires on the black stuff, you are going to be able to at least find yourself in a good points-paying position. We follow there, diving down the corkscrew again, trying to keep it clean. Now, we are on lap 5 right now. We just started it. So from what we heard from the drivers, this is about the point where we would expect for these tires to actually be up to temperature and in their operating window.
Indeed. And off the corner, there is your second place driver, Daly, being chased by Broomhead. And now Cofre continuing to apply pressure to Broomhead. He's kept it within about 0.3 of a second. And he's sizing him up. He's weaving a little bit in his mirrors, trying to show himself, but certainly not close enough for a serious attack into 5. Let's see if he can get a better launch through 6.
Not looking like he can. I think he's just trying to keep the pressure up here on Broomhead, see if he can force an error. Cofre has seen what can happen if you get a little bit too aggressive there. And Broomhead runs a little bit wide on the exit of the corkscrew, but that's not going to cost him too much. Cofre keeping behind the gap now at about 0.5 of a second. That's about what we saw it balloon out to on that last lap, for the record.
Back up to Kita. Remember, he didn't have the greatest of qualifying, which has really been his signature in the past few years, but he's gone from 15th to 10th in these 6 laps, about to be 7. So 5 positions up is no mean feat. He's also got Duhamel in front of him, along with Almanar, so a couple more positions could be on the buffet menu.
They could indeed, and Takeshi never one to back down from an aggressive overtake here. He's got a good run going into Andretti. I think he's a little far back, and indeed he's just going to check himself up in line. Right ahead of them there is Jonathan Almanar, as you said, Joe. He is up 10 spots. He started all the way back down in 18th, and he is currently running 8th.
Coming up to turn 4, another one of those swift corners here around this track that is so marginal in most cars, but they handle it just fine. Looks like Duhamel falling away from Almanar as he's getting some distance, and I think we had a pass for third. Yes, we did. Broomhead, I think, made a mistake in turn 6.
Yes, he did. Just overcooked it a little bit, Joe. This is exactly that kind of pressure that I was talking about earlier. Kofre just keeps it up, comes in, clips a little bit of that inside curbing, and that upsets the car just enough to send Michael Broomhead on a one-way ticket to the litter box.
Kofre's ready to snatch that one up, so he is now in P3. Not too much distance lost. Broomhead's still within about 1.2 seconds. Let's see if he can run him back down. Byron Daly just set the fastest lap of the race. So either Fournier may be backing off a little bit, or Daly actually has something in him that he could try and run him down a little bit. The 16 looks a little out of sorts. What happened here?
Let's take a look at the GSRC replay. This is David A. Bear coming up through that turn 5. That's the same place that caught out Broomhead. Oh!
Except he had a car behind.
Yeah, caught it coming over the curbs and just got a little bit of a love tap there from behind him.
Without much grip on the dirt, there's no saving that one. Broomhead having a little bit better luck this time. That's down to 1.1 second. So yeah, I'd say he's got a little bit of pace and might be able to pull in Kofre once again. But let's head back to that battle we were watching with Kita, Duhamel, and Almanar, because that's still quite tight. And in fact, looking very good under braking. Kita gains on Duhamel, and a big lockup from Jonathan brings them all within about reaching distance of each other.
Yeah, watch Duhamel here. If he's able to get through turn 10, all right. Oh, looks like he lost a little bit of time, but it's going to be Kita that tries to threaten there through turn 11. Not going to have it on that part at all. They're going to be single file now down the front straight. This is where you can start to take a little bit of an advantage of the draft. It looks like Duhamel's certainly working it as they crest over the hill. He's going to have to be late on the brakes into Andretti, and he doesn't want to go for it. Takes a little bit of a wider angle there, cutting down there at the second part of the Andretti hairpin, just trying to keep that distance nice and close. Now, something to note. Oh.
And unfortunately, a little bit of a hiccup sends him backwards. So Kita closing in on him. You were going to say something there, DJ?
I was indeed. The two cars in front of this pack here, that is Owen McLaughlin and some other lapped traffic. That could present a little bit of a fly in the ointment here for these drivers. Kita's going to pray to get by here coming up. Oh, that was close.
Thankfully, he was able to get by Carter. It's actually part of his sister team. I'm sure that'll be a little bit of an awkward discussion afterwards, because letting drivers by in turn 6 is not usually going to go well, but Kita survives, just loses a couple tenths to the 617.
Indeed, he does. And now he's got to focus everything back on this battle with Almanar, Duhamel, and Kita. It's separated out pretty heavily. About a second between Almanar and Duhamel, and a second and a half between him and Kita.
We'll see if that comes back together. As let's see, how many drivers have we lost at this point now that we have a moment to breathe? Looks like Nick Johnston, Presley, Ritters, Ridgway, and Coelho have all officially parked it for the day, and I see a couple others that are still banging away on their cars in pit lane.
Yeah, we've heard from a couple of those drivers that they really just want to get back out on track. They know this is a little bit of a bloodbath out here tonight, and so there are points to be had if they can get out and just turn some clean laps.
This is Broomhead on your screen. Another puff of smoke from the 9-1 as he locks him up coming into the corkscrew. Doesn't lose too much time, but it's down to 0.7 of a second. So that is just about half the distance gained by Michael Broomhead already in a couple laps, but he's having to work hard at it. Another mistake from the 5 will make it all the more difficult to try and catch back up to Kofre.
Yeah, he is not going to want to put a tire wrong here, as we are over 10 laps in the books around Laguna Seca. So now drivers are going to have to start worrying about the opposite end of the spectrum in terms of these tires. They've got to make sure that they don't overuse them. I can't really imagine you're going to want to take a tire change here, as it's going to take so long. That was a big off there from Cofre in front.
And that's not the first time we've seen a problem through turn 3. That exit gets deceptively tight out of there, and it has cost him, because now it's down to half a second. Broomhead's going to be feeling a bit of the slipstream, I imagine. And although it is fast up the hill, probably not a long enough straight here. In fact, a much better exit by Juan. So he gets it back up to about 0.7 of a second.
Yeah, gets that gap back up, and it's just going to seesaw here a little bit. At least that's what it's looking like it's going to do for the moment, riding on the nose right now of that number 5 of Michael Broomhead.
And it's back up to 1 second. Michael lacking pace all of a sudden, unless maybe Juan has decided to turn up the wick. And he had to have really in a big way that last lap, because he had a slow one with that little issue. About 1:16. I guess we'll have to watch this one and see if this makes any sort of difference. Let's hope he gets it right this time as we continue to watch from the nose. Yep, that was a lot cleaner out of 3.
Yeah, indeed it was. So he's going to try to gain that in a little bit more. Looking at the gap, he's able to cut about 1/10 of a second out of it, so starting to claw back if he can.
So we come back to Duhamel. Well, looks like Takeshi Kita's not been able to regain the lost ground, but Sean is approaching the rear of the 0-2, Jonathan Almanar here. And coming through turn 5 up the hill, he gets it down to about 6 to 7/10 of a second. Continuing to claw their way up that huge rise in elevation before it finally peaks here at the corkscrew. And then it's back down we go again.
Yeah, and you can see there on the rise up through the hill, Duhamel doing a good job of taking every inch of the track that he could, really just swinging it out wide and swinging it back. So I've got to give him kudos there on that as he tries to go in. Closes down a lot there during that final sector, getting that gap down to about 0.5 of a second.
You know, it's interesting how earlier you mentioned, DJ, that so much of today is going to be waiting for the mistakes. And, well, that has seriously come true. I'm trying to think of how many on-track passes we've seen that haven't been from a car ahead going off track or having a major bobble. And I can only think of maybe 1 or 2 so far.
Yeah, exactly, Joe. It's not a track that you really like to be able to get past on. It is a driver's track in the sense that it is challenging and difficult, but passing is just so tricky around here. There have been suggestions over the years about maybe trying to extend the straightaway, extend that Andretti hairpin corner at turn 2. But from what I understand, there's some real estate concerns or something like that. So what you see is what you get, and you've really just got to kind of force the issue if you're going to get a pass done around here the normal way.
Yeah, I just don't think it would be the same if we put that hairpin farther away from the hill. That downhill braking so tricky. It's certainly got its own characters. We now see Kita in the background starting to gain as Duhamel has it within 0.4 for a brief moment before he has a poor exit off the final hairpin. Oh, and now it's Cofre's turn to have an issue. Cofre is spun and Broomhead is back into 3rd, and this was once again down to driver error.
Yeah, just coming out there, I think he got a little bit too eager on the throttle coming out of the Andretti hairpin. Maybe those left side tires up into the curbs a little bit, and that just sent him spinning right around. So that's going to promote an AM driver in Michael Broomhead up into 3rd place. Broomhead on the podium.
And Cofre came back not too far ahead of Almanar as we watch from on board. It's still a little distance. Almanar is going to have to try and pull about 4 seconds on him. But if they do start to catch him, this will be a 4-way battle pretty soon. As we watch from Raymond Day in 4th position. And Broomhead, another one that has been caught. They go by a lapped car coming into pit lane. That's James Holland, deciding now's as good a time as any, about halfway, to try and avoid getting into trouble. And Broomhead was on the radio. He's a little slow. He's not shutting the door. Is he trying to give it away? Yes, he is. He's just going to allow the pro driver of Raymond Day to have the spot, knowing that he doesn't need to fight right now.
Yeah, that's a heads-up call there from Broomhead, and that's what he came on the radio to say. He just said, I'm not going to fight you, Raymond, letting Broomhead on through. I think he knows that Day on through, rather. I think he knows Day's got more speed. His fastest lap is about 0.3 of a second faster than Broomhead's. Broomhead's battle here really with Christopher Richards right now for the top place in that AM category.
And by the way, the middle of that battle we were watching before, Sean Duhamel pitted this time. So there's an interesting development. Maybe trying to get a little tricky. Didn't like how much he was having to duel with those others. This is Kofrey, who is pulling away from Almanar. He's got his sights forward instead. Nick Horvath is already in his crosshairs.
Yeah, and Kofrey, remember, holds the fastest lap of the race, so a whole lot of speed there in that 91. You can see that rear end just getting very, very slippery coming down out of turn 9. He is pushing that car to the maximum. Let's keep the cameras here, because I think we're about to see a pass on the main straightaway.
He looks a little far back, though. It'll have to take a huge lunge. He's trying to pull that draft on the 382. By the time they get to the bottom of the hill here at Andretti, yeah, he's not quite there. So, as Horvath, at least temporarily, holds this 6th place, what is he going to do with the pressure? We watch over the shoulder of Juan in the 91, taking it right down as far as he can go to that inside curb, and look at how much that gains him.
Yeah, he was really able to do it, and again, just cutting down on that curb as much as possible, poking his nose this way and that, trying to get in Horvath's head a little bit here. There he goes. Wow! Off on into the gravel on the exit of turn 6.
That was pretty scary. Now, Horvath, unfortunately, has been having some connection issues today, and you saw him just blink a little bit there. That's not going to be fun for Juan if he does manage to get a chance to pass, because he doesn't want to get too close just in case. Oh, and another off as Kofrey was flirting with those curbs, and this time, unfortunately, he flirted too much and got slapped.
He did indeed. Checking out this replay here, Joe. We ride on board, just goes down. You can see that red curb on the inside. Boom! Throws the suspension out of whack. Immediately tries to put some opposite lock into the car, but it is too late, and he is sliding off in that Chili Verde machine.
Almost looked like it started to get loose, or maybe he knew he was turning in too early, because the car suddenly took a little bit of a veer left mid-turn-in. Whatever the case, he took a tow and is trying to get some repairs, and it looks like he has been our latest DNF as he has left the server.
Very, very tough to see him go like that, but as we reset, this is that battle we've been keeping our eye on. This is Takeshi Kita trying to close down on Jonathan Almanar. They've been able to get pretty close to each other here. Takeshi putting up some good moves. Takeshi up 7 on the day. Almanar up 11. Looks like Tyler Gore up ahead of them may have had a little bit of a problem coming down through the corkscrew, and that's going to bring him in closer. No, excuse me, that's Daniel Barnett up ahead of them. Whoa, that's Almanar slipping right on by. Kita's going to have a little bit of an easier time of it.
And Almanar's going to enter the pits as well as Daniel Barnett nearly spun right into Takeshi Kita. Our driver tied for the points lead. We might want to get a little bit of a replay of this one. The 67 was having all kinds of problems. He cut the course down through the corkscrew, and this is Kita will want to look off the back of his car here, because there he goes by the lapped car, and then unfortunately there's where it breaks loose, making a beeline for him, and just enough speed to keep Takeshi out of harm's way.
Takeshi going to be thanking his lucky stars after that one. A very close incident between the two.
So with that pit stop, Kita is promoted to 7th, but it'll depend on if he can come around for his pit cycle and jump Almanar in that sequence. But man, it never ceases to amaze me how Takeshi just climbs the order bit by bit. He is steady as she goes type of driver. And so Byron Daly had the fastest lap briefly before Raymond Day took it away.
All right, so those Ninja Trader boys, remember, they are teammates. We've seen them duke it out a couple of times out on track. They clearly got some pace underneath them here today. We'll have to see if that's able to play out at all.
So as we watch that 64 round, here is that corkscrew once again. I think our leader should be coming through pretty soon. Yeah, our leader's coming through, and we keep talking about a cut course penalty. Explain to the audience exactly what we're talking about here, DJ.
So, Joe, if you look at the track the way it is and you see how Day went through there like that, there are the blue and white curbs on either side of the track. Now, depending on the circuit in question and the corner in question, there are indicators which signify the edge of the track. And if you get a full wheel off of that track, off of that line, or you just completely cross over it, you will get a cut course penalty. It is deemed an advantage that you gain by making the track wider or narrower than it actually is. And so, by getting that cut course penalty, what iRacing does is it automatically recognizes it, assesses it, and tells you to slow down, to give back X number of seconds within about 45 seconds on track.
So that's why if you see a driver slow suddenly, and we refer to that, they're trying to hand back the advantage they gained there. Now, Raymond Day just pitted, and he is now our highest pitter. He's back out in 8th position. This is Brett Barrett here in 12th, still on the lead lap and in a bit of a battle, I think. That is Donald Olson in front of him. In fact, he's got a great run, and Olson's not going to defend, but he breaks deep. So no pass quite yet.
And I just went back and took a look at Raymond's pit stop. As expected, not looking like anybody's taking tires out here. As I said, with as cool as these track temperatures are, it takes those 4 laps to get them up to temp. You don't want to run the risk of having to get them back up to temperature, even if it'll gain you a little more grip in the last couple of laps. It's too much loss. You might as well stay out on the old worn tires.
And I think even the amount of cooling that he experienced in the pit stop hurt Raymond Day, because he had a small off in turn 6 as he was trying to follow behind Tyler Gore, a lapped car. Thankfully, it wasn't too bad. He just maybe lost probably half a second or so there. But that could be critical since that was right after the pit stop.
Could be very critical, very, very critical indeed. That wind continues to gust around there between 7 and 10 miles an hour. You see it up to 13 kilometers per hour. It's going to be very, very brutal coming at the top of the hill as we've got some more drivers coming on down into pit lane. That is Olson and Barrett that we were following.
Yeah, and a battle for position and pitting at the same time. Johnny Luna also in. As we check up ahead here at the fight between Scarali and Kita. This is for 6th position. Neither driver has pitted yet, so they're going to hand a few back. Looks like Day for sure. Oh, and Fournier, our leader, is in. Talk about a quiet race. We have not looked at him probably since about lap 3 or 4.
That's what happens when you pull about a 3 or 4 second advantage and just keep growing on it. Byron Daly behind him in 2nd is going to carry on, but it looks like Broomhead and Richards in 3rd and 4th will both be diving down pit lane.
Orvath is in as well. Kita decides to stay out. Scarali is going to pit. And it looks like Fournier returns to the track with about the same gap that he had before. In fact, it is a rather large gap, but I think that's more due to the fact that his main competition behind him has pitted, and that's now to Takeshi Kita, who is temporarily into 3rd. So we still need to wait for a few more to affect their stops here, with about a third of the race left to go.
Yeah, it looks like the 3 that have not made their pit stops at this point, it's your leader, Byron Daly, as well as Takeshi Kita and Julio Palacio. So They've all been out here for 21 laps as we watch Palacio right now. A little bit stuck behind Nick Horvath. I have to say, I would have dove on into the pits if I was Palacio, maybe just try to get a gap of clean air to be able to keep my way forward.
And Almenar's, it was Duhamel that pit, wasn't it? Almenar came out ahead of him, so Duhamel's ploy didn't quite work. He's still chasing him. They're coming down into turn 5 here. That is Almenar in the orange and blue. The red, white, and blue is Duhamel, and he looked pretty good there coming through turn 5. Gained a little bit of time. Let's see if he can do the same here through 6.
Yeah, gains a little bit there. He took a shallower entry. Oh, that's Almenar getting defensive coming up into the corkscrew. Duhamel's going to back off a little bit.
Too defensive.
Yep.
Oh, off the course he goes, and he's going to give away 1, and, well, not 2, because Daniel Barnett is a lap down, but he loses a bunch of time. Yeah, going offline into the corkscrew is not always as good of an idea as you think it is.
Well, it only works if you're Alex Zanardi, really, Joe. But that right there from Duhamel, that is exactly the kind of mind game that I was talking about. He got into the rearview mirrors of him, made Almenar overthink it, made Almenar go defensive, and Almenar outbraked himself. Absolutely brilliant as we watch Julio Palacio down into pit lane. Oh, he's got a problem.
Yeah, this is a long one. I wonder if he had a speeding penalty. Also, by the way, who put flannel on their pit crew out there? I just noticed that in the background.
It's got to be one of the Canadians. It's got to be one of the Canadians.
Yeah, I suspect so. Palacio returns with a 21-second stop. Now, that's a bit of an unusual time. Not sure what went down there.
Yeah, I'm not sure either, as fueling to the end shouldn't take that long. Even with a tire change, it wouldn't be that long of a stop. I'm wondering if perhaps he maybe had some damage he had to repair. Front wing damage, though, only normally takes about 10 seconds.
Yeah, which would still be a bit long. So that seems the most likely to me, because if he was serving a speeding penalty, that would have been somewhere in the realm of 50 seconds typically. We'll try and investigate that a little later. But now that the pit stops are done, your order has sort of settled up at the top. Fournier leads, Byron Daly about 3.5 seconds behind. And Raymond Day is currently third, about 9 more seconds back from Byron and 12 off the front runner. Credit to Byron Daly. He's at least reeled Alex Fournier in somewhat, but not enough that he's really a threat. Just has to hope that the 116 makes a mistake in these last 8 laps as we watch between our AM leaders, Broomhead ahead of Richards, and only by 0.7 of a second.
Yeah, this could get a little bit spicy as we get down into the closing stages. And as you said, Joe, I'm keeping my eye on that run from Byron Daly. He's consistently about 1/10 of a second faster than Fournier, but I don't think he's going to be able to close it down enough. When we focus back here on that AM battle, as you said, Richards not the best run out of the final corner. He'll be able to try to gain up a little bit here. Certainly not close enough to make any braking work, any move work down in the Andretti hairpin. Lets it out a little bit wide, tries to take a narrower exit to maximize some speed. I think that was advantage Broomhead there through turns 2.
Yeah, as we ride on board with Christopher, and you can see how close he is. Remember, he's only 5 points behind Broomhead coming into this race. And he has actually not had a win yet this season as Richards, but neither has Broomhead. If one of these guys takes the AM win, then there are going to be a maiden winner in that AM class in this race.
Yeah, Joe, and that AM category in this PRL Formula Series just continues to amaze. A little bit of a look there for Christopher Richards. I think just trying to make sure he knew Michael Broomhead knew he was there. Not a real committed move going down into the corkscrew, but one that he just wanted to try to poke his nose in nonetheless.
Looks like we've had another retiree. Roberto Cofre is now out of the race, so he will fall down the order. I mentioned earlier about cars trying to get back on the track and compete. Joey Tebbin is one of those, but he's 25th and about 10 laps down. He should be able to get maybe a couple more before all is said and done. Broomhead in the number 5 machine, leading the 49 of Christopher Richards. And, whoa, somebody off track. And that's Raymond Day.
What happened here, Joe? This was your third place driver coming up, cresting over the hill on the main straightaway. All right, so it gets a little bit squirrely there, comes down into the Andretti hairpin. Is that too much speed that he carries in through there? No, okay. Here it is. This is where the problem is. Cuts it over. Just carried too much speed through the corner, and that those rear tires just didn't want to grip. And, hits the front nose for good measure. That's going to be damage for the 77. I wouldn't be surprised if we see him fall down the order a little bit more after that.
Yeah, he's in 5th place, and now Michael Broomhead is looking at an overall podium here today. He's got that up to 9/10 of a second now, so he's responded to Richard's pressure in a very cool and collected way, coming across the line with more cloud cover overhead here in California, starting lap 27 now.
Yeah, only 5 laps to go around here at Laguna Seca. Broomhead able to grow that gap out to about a full second at this point. So he's got to be feeling pretty good. But behind him, Christopher Richards knows that if he just keeps applying pressure, just about anything can happen.
Oh, and Christopher Richards is the latest one to fall victim to mistakes here. Goes off out of turn 3. Once again, that exit just keeps picking up drivers, chewing them up and spitting them out. This time, he didn't get damage compared to what we've seen from others. Just kind of trundled through the gravel and then returned to the circuit with 3.5 seconds now to make up to Broomhead.
Yeah, and thankfully these cars aren't nearly as sensitive on the under trays as some other ones that we've seen around here, but we jump back here. This is the battle for P15. This is Brett Barrett trying to chase down Tyler Gore in that green number 7.
And that's the closest fight we've got here on the track right now, actually. They're a lap down currently, but they've both finished their pit stops. And they're coming through Rainy Curve. Gore started this race in 27th, so he is up about 12 positions, whereas Barrett is only up 1 spot from where he began, 17th to 16th. Much bigger climb for that number 7 machine. And coming down the front stretch, he's not able to shake him. It's actually shortened to about 0.5 of a second now.
Yeah, he's keeping it in. Both take a pretty narrow line there into that double apex left-hander. Tighter exit there for Brett Barrett. And he's able to shave down about 1/10 of a second out of it as they work their way now through turn 3, working up through turn 4 now, trying to see what can be had. Gap starts to expand a little bit as they get up to speed, up to about 0.7 of a second. Barrett holding the advantage.
Out of turn 5, trying to get himself a good a launch as he can. And it is decent, but he doesn't extend it. He misses the apex through turn 6, unfortunately. And the gap begins to come down once again. Barrett continuing to threaten. Little hiccups like that could wind up costing him the spot.
Yeah, it could end up costing him big time. He has just got to keep his eyes focused forward, not let anything get in his way at this point. Gap is now holding at about 0.5 of a second as they round their way through that final corner.
Ooh. And both of them slipping up, but I think more so Tyler Gore, because it's now only 0.2 of a second. Is this the shot that Brett's been looking for? No, he doesn't go for it. If he hadn't have had that slip up, I think Brett could have easily overtaken him.
I think he could have too, but he is now in prime position to strike here, right up behind that machine of Brett Barrett. Daniel Barnett, or of Tyler Gore, rather. Number 7 starts to pull away a little bit as they come out of turn 4, but trying to make things work. Let's see. These are the areas that we've seen drivers under pressure make mistakes. Doesn't look like there's one from either Gore or Barnett here as they climb up the hill. The 32 just continuing to chase. Late apex there for Tyler Gore, able to keep it together.
Let's keep the cameras here for now, but Fournier just took 2 to go and crossed the line. Oh, and another little slip. Is this going to be it? Is Gore going to be able to get past? Or Barrett, rather, going to be able to get past? And the answer is no.
No, he's not, but that is definitely good news for Barrett as he's seeing cracks in Tyler Gore. Gore takes a wider line, earlier entry in there for Barrett. This could be the move.
He's to the inside and tries to shut the door, but it is way too late as the 7 has nothing for him except to brake extremely late down into Andretti, try to go the long way around to defend, and he might have this one back. It's a couple of right-handers here through 3 and 4, and indeed, the number 7 miraculously is still in 15th.
Ooh, boy, put that up on a blackboard and teach it in class, kids, because that is how you defend a position. Massive credit there to Tyler Gore, but this race isn't done yet. Barrett trying to get anything he can.
White flag was just waved for Fournier, so final lap now, and a little bit up ahead of these two. This is a little bit of a battle. Looks like between the likes of Kita and Scarali. Kita in 7th place.
Yes, indeed. Kita trying to hold off Tyler Scarali here as they move up to the white flag here. Scarali doesn't look like he's quite going to have the run that he wants going into the Andretti hairpin. He's just going to have to force it. Takes a narrower line. I don't think he's going to be able to get anything done, and indeed he's not.
This has been an impressive drive from Kita, but the bad news is his AM Championship rival that he's been tied with coming into this race is going to win this AM race and is a number of positions up ahead of him. But we need to go to Alex Fournier. We haven't been showing him a whole lot, and the credit needs to be given where it's deserved to the 116 who has dominated today's race. He got run down a little bit by others behind him, but I think this is just race management from Alex Fournier, who takes another win here in the PRL Open Wheel Series.
A commanding drive from Fournier. Behind him, Byron Daly, who did a good job to close in, and an AM leader, Michael Broomhead, able to get it done and come home in that final podium position. Oh, Joe, Tyler Gore outbraked himself going into the corkscrew. That position's going to be Brett Barrett's.
Oh, and as that was happening, Takeshi Kita had a scare with a lapped car in which Scarali had to go the other way around. They split them, and Kita retains that 7th place. We're going to look at a replay. And this is with the incident into the corkscrew.
Barrett does a great job positioning himself to the inside, and there you can see that number 7 just outbrakes himself, goes off into the kitty litter around the outside, and position right back to Brett Barrett.
Last of our drivers on the lead lap are coming around with Julio Palacio and Donald Olson being the final two, and 12th and 13th. Man, it really was a bloodbath out there as there was a lot of retirements and drivers a lap down. But this will take us to a quick break. We'll come back with the unofficial results as well as driver interviews, so stick around.
Hey there, I'm Nicholas Dubois, co-founder of Advanced SimRacing. We are a Canadian company. So what we did here today is for a real petrol head. He's really passionate about cars, as you can see behind me. We did a turnkey solution for him based on his needs. We try to gather as much information as we can on our client. And like we did today, we install a D-box system. We install ultra-wide cube control steering wheel. We try to provide the best quality for your budget. So let's say if you want a budget of 10 grand, we're gonna give you something that's the best for 10 grand. If you want 20 grand, then we always try to stay within your boundaries. We do try to make it as easy as possible. So the client, once we install everything, it's pretty much gonna be a turnkey. So he's gonna press start on his computer, and right after, we'll try to explain everything, how it goes, how it works, and then he's ready to go. Our aluminum is from USA, treated in Canada, cut in Canada. So we do sand all our aluminum piece just to make sure the powder coat sticks to it. And that's one of the reasons why we use powder coat, is to make sure you have the best aluminum finish in the industry. and our quality is beyond what you can get with any other competitors right now. We are really, really passionate about all the gear, all the cockpits, all the sim hardware, and that's why we want to create something that's really going to reflect our passion into our product. Come visit us at advancedsimracing.com. You can always reach us if you have any questions. You can call us, you can text us, you can go on Facebook, like our page, ask us questions over there, and we'll make sure to answer every questions there is. We are very passionate about what we do, and we try to make it as easier for you to go into the sim racing world, because there's a lot of gear, there's a lot of options, but let us guide you through your process, and let's hope you'll be an Advanced Sim Racing customer.
Welcome back to Laguna Seca. It has been a wild race out here, but not so much for Alex Fournier. He took the pole, he stretched away from all of his rivals, and though they closed it back in towards the end, he still finished about a second and a half ahead of anybody else to take the victory. Byron Daly was P2, up from 7th. Great job from him. And Michael Broomhead wins the AM race and takes an overall podium over Christopher Richards, denying Richards the chance to try to reel in that points gap. Raymond Day was 5th behind those two as Nick Horvath finished in 6th, and Takeshi Kita tried to limit the damage that he would experience today with Broomhead being ahead of him, but he could only finish 7th overall, up from 15th, so still a good day for him. Tyler Scarali was 8th and Sean Duhamel 9th, with Jonathan Almanar winding up 10th.
In 11th, it was Matthew Gunderson, followed by Julio Palacio, who suffered from one of the many spins across the field. Donald Olson came home behind him, with Johnny Luna behind him in 14th. Brett Barrett came home in 15th, courtesy of that outbreaking of Tyler Gore going into the corkscrew. Daniel Barnett also able to steal a position courtesy of that spin. Gore was 17th, followed by James Holland and James Carter in 19th, and Roberto Cofre rounds out your top 20.
These are drivers that are a mix of finishers and DNFs. Barrett did see the checkered flag. McLaughlin did not. Joey Tebben got there. Juan Cofre DNF today. Peterson did as well. And then from there on down, we have drivers that were retired prematurely, unfortunately. We do have our second place finisher ready to talk to us, and that was Byron Daly. And I'm curious to see what he thinks about the gap between himself and Alex Fournier, because Byron, it looked like you had some speed. You were getting some fastest laps in there during the race. Do you feel like you were legitimately pulling in Alex, or was he managing his pace?
I'm going to be honest with you. I felt like maybe I could have been close enough to try to do some, pressure him a little bit, but I feel like he was definitely protecting his lead. He had 5 seconds on me. It's kind of, it's easy to kind of relax when you got 5 seconds on somebody. And truthfully, I lost that race in qualifying, and it's a little disappointing, that part. It would have been fun to actually get to race Alex, but it's good to finish what we did.
And this will definitely bump you up the order, potentially, I think, into second place with Rod Clenard not here today. Knowing that, do you feel like you can try and come back in these last few rounds? We got 4 to go, that you could try and catch Fournier, but his pace has been impressive.
Yeah, I'm going to say that's going to be a tough ask. I really needed to actually, win at MotorSports last week, but ended up in the barriers there. So to have any chance at Alex with how quick he's been, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if he won the last 3 races. It's going to be a tough ask. I'm not saying it's impossible. Maybe I can, find some form here with the last 3 races. I did find something that kind of works for me with these cars again. It's kind of helped my pace, but it's kind of about executing that every week, and it's going to be a tough ask to really go against the guy that's been there all year.
It certainly will be, and it's not an easy course next time out, too, with Donington. How do you wager your chances are there? Are you pretty experienced with that one?
Yeah, I actually like that track. I ran there, Formula Renault 2.0, and then the official series, and things like that. So I'm pretty familiar with the track. It's just going to be about getting the balance right. Again, just can't have that chronic understeer that I've had all season. Just getting this thing to actually rotate the corner. You get that there, it's going to be a really long race. So if I can figure that part out, I think we'll be just fine in Darlington. Donington.
Well, congratulations on the podium regardless. Anybody you want to thank for that today?
Yeah, Ninja Trader, Ray and all the guys that, let me be on this deal. It's been fun to work with those guys, and glad to put some points on the board for the team championship, and just you guys broadcasting and Precision Racing League put on the league.
Great stuff. Yeah, that was Byron Daly, who finished second today, up 5 spots from where he began this race, and up 2 of them, but with a critical AM victory. We have Michael Broomhead. DJ has caught up with him.
I have indeed. Michael, you looked like you were involved in action pretty much from flag to flag with that race, but able to come home with the podium and top of the AM standings. That's got to feel good.
Yeah, I definitely knew I had to, beat Keita, and Richards was always fast. That guy's going to run all the way to the end. So, yeah, I mean, I'm really happy with staying in front and keeping clean. That's, you want a clean race, and then there's cars all over the place, so you got to pick your spots.
Well, in terms of coming into this race, obviously in the pre-race we made a big deal about you being tied with Takeshi and Christopher, just very close on your heels for this AM championship. How much does that factor into the way you're driving out there, or do you just have to put it out of your mind when you're out on track?
Maybe I'm not as pro as some. I do think about it. I try to just do my own race, though. Just try to hit my marks. I'm only in control of my car, so that's all I can do. Chris had a lot of pace. Juan had a lot of pace. Obviously, if he didn't spin, I think he would have got away from me. But just doing my own thing. Try to minimize mistakes, and that's pretty much how to do well in PRL, to be honest.
Seems to be working out well for you, my friend. But next week, we turn our sights to Donington. Another sort of old school circuit. Is this going to be another chance for you to maybe try to extend the championship lead?
Hope so. A bit of practice there in Flying Husky, and we're pretty strong there. It's going to be our home race, obviously Britannia, so we'll do a special livery as always. But yeah, I mean, just a shout out to the Britannia boys. Horvath on the podium here now, and Scarali had an issue early on and then fought his way back up, so we're hoping to come back strong in Donington.
Well, we'll be watching for you for sure, Michael. Anybody else you'd like to thank for this podium today?
Yeah, Walden International School in Oakville. They're a private school. It's a very good place to send your kids. There's also, of course, Mountain Range Marketing, lisaslight.com, Mimi and the family, as well as you guys. Thank you so much for all you do.
It's our pleasure, Michael. That was Michael Broomhead, your AM winner in 3rd place overall. And now Joe Peak has caught up with the aforementioned Nick Horvath, who came home 6th overall and 3rd in the AM category.
Indeed, an AM podium today for Nick. It wasn't completely flawless. I saw at least one little cut course down through the corkscrew there, Nick. But what is your assessment on this? Would you give yourself an A+?
I mean, to get a podium on my second or third season of PRL, I'd call this an A++, really. But I mean, the car felt really, really great. I had a little bit of a scare 3 laps in when I got it into the back of day in that big mess and turn 2 and 3. But I was going about 2/3 pace the rest of the race, just making sure I could actually finish. And I didn't really expect it to get this good.
Yeah, no doubt. We did see a lot of attrition, so it's understandable that you backed it off. But did you plan that from the get-go? Did you know before the green flag you were going to kind of run at 9/10 instead?
Oh, no, I wanted to try and stay up with the front pack as long as I possibly could. It's just, once I thought I had damage, I knew that, especially for aero, to try and get the speed out of the exits, especially coming up the hill towards the corkscrew, I'd rather try and keep my my incident limits low and at least try and see if I can't get someone on a black flag.
That makes sense to me. With Donington next week, it's going to be another track that has a lot of elevation change, is very windy and twisty. Do you feel like this is good preparation for that one?
Oh, absolutely. I've run Donington before. I really, really love the track. So I'm really looking forward to it. It suits these cars really well. It's really fun to race as long as you have the right setup. I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
Oh, we're looking forward to it as well from the booth. Is there anybody that you want to thank that helped make this AM podium possible?
Oh, absolutely. Got to thank the boys back at Britannia. They did a lot of help with the setups. I don't think I could have ever competed like I did today without them. Another big thank you to Walden International School, Vitiated Mob, the Alice Foundation, and a little shout out to the boys at Flying Husky.
Great stuff. That was Nick Horvath in the 382 with a 6th place overall as well as an AM podium here today at Laguna Seca. But it's going to close us out, of course, with a few thank yous of our own to our sponsors for the series, which includes ASR. They design and build the sturdiest and most durable aluminum profile racing simulation cockpits available in the market today. Visit them at advancedsimracing.com. And RaceLab. It helps you to improve your driving skills. Start using it now for free at racelab.app. And ButtKicker. Feel what you've been missing at thebuttkicker.com. As well as SimMSA. Find out how you can bridge the gap between virtual and real motorsports at SimMSA.net. And finally, NinjaTrader. Visit ninjatrader.com and get started with a risk-free trading simulator to start tracking your performance. Thanks to the companies that provide the software and hardware for our broadcast listed here. Provides our wonderful music. Check out her Bandcamp for more awesome work. Thanks to the team today, DJ, Rob, and Dougie. You can find more info about GSRC at globalsimracingchannel.com or through our social media. Also, check out our merchandise store at simracingmerch.com/GSRC. We'll keep a link in the description below. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And next week, to Donington, Thursday, November 4th at 8:45 p.m. Eastern. And we have upcoming races for other series listed on the screen. So check those out and mark them down on your calendar. Until next time, race clean, race hard. We'll see you on the track.